JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. April 26, 2024. Going to be really quick here. Quick 5 minute morning rant. First PC data came out this morning, somewhat in line. So it's 3% versus 3% estimates, but then you look at the 3-month trend, it's still high. The other flip side of it is the year over year is the lowest PCE number since 2021. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I guess the good thing, it's not hotter than expected. So take that with a grain of salt. Also, after the close yesterday, Google monster beat and raise announced a dividend following the I guess the trend that's been set by Facebook. Their earnings, they announced dividend last quarter. Now it's just up to Amazon, right? Amazon's the last company, well, not the last one, but to start issuing dividends. Some people look at those companies and say, wow, that's the end of their growth era, right? When you start doing dividends and buyback, well, the buybacks they've already been doing, now you go from a growth company to a value company, but these companies are already growing, so, or continue to grow. And then the other side, people look at it and say, oh, they're just trying to obscure the fact that they're going to spend so much money on AI and infrastructure and things. This coming year, they're trying to confuse investors, right, to offset that. But either, needless to say, it's a good thing. I think it's always good to return value to shareholders, especially when you're holding on a cash hoard of billions of dollars in cash. Either return that to shareholders, be it buybacks, dividends, or acquire company, whatever it is. So that's kind of that on the markets. Hang on one second. Take a look at some of the things that I've been watching. 504.50, I would love to see it close yesterday above that. It didn't happen. I put it on a watch list. I always like this, not always, but these red to green days always seem to be the best days where we have bounces. I hate reversals where we gap higher and reverse. I'm hoping that doesn't happen today, but if we do get some selling, watching that 504.50. Some more good signs. Just want to see that 50-day moving average on the S&P. There's 42% of the companies are over their 50-day moving average. So hopefully that trend's higher again today. And then you also have, hang on a second, what is this? Oh. You'll also have the VIX. So you take a look at the VIX yesterday. It was almost like the telltale signal. It seems to be the best forward indicator for the markets. Every time it either starts to go up or down before the market moves, you know that's the trend. And yesterday it happened. You take a look. This is the trend line. So great sign. It's under that long-term trend line. And if I pull this back, you'll see it's all the way past that. And then the VIX, it hit highs right at 10 o'clock, and the highs are only up 10% despite the huge market pullback. I think the S&P was down over 1.4% at the 10 o'clock hour, and then we just reversed course and melted. The VIX pretty much closed flat on the day. At some points it was in the red. So continue to watch those things. The 50-day moving average of the S&P and the VIX is kind of some leading indicators for the market, and hopefully get a constructive move here today. Maybe some 50s or so next week on the SPY. That'd be a good thing. So some names I was watching. You take a look at AVGO, and I don't have this here. And I call it AVGO. It's Broadcom, AVGO. I was watching it this morning at the open. You can see some of the chip names. The only reason I was watching because Lam Research had reported earnings. It was kind of mixed bag, was getting upgrades, and then you saw the volume. And I've been watching Broadcom for puts for the last couple months for greed resets. So when I saw the volume, I said this is abnormal volume, and it looks like it's going to break hard to the upside, even with the market selling off. So I went and got speculative calls. Within about 20 minutes, I was able to lock some in for 100%. And then looked like it started to stall, and then the volume started to peter a little bit. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. So I locked the rest in. I might revisit here today. The premiums have come down on the strikes I had, so maybe I'll go lower, especially if the market finds some footing. I could see Broadcom maybe trades up to 320 or so. That's kind of the thought process there. We'll see how that one goes. Let me talk really quick about RILY. RILY's over 35 here in the pre-market. It opened at 28 and change, all the way down to 27 and change, I believe, and then it just embarked on a meticulous melt to the upside. I wouldn't even call it a short squeeze because usually you see some wide swings. It just kept going, and to see it today, it's hitting 36 in the pre-market. I think maybe it could go to 40 today. So I'll just look at the I'll I'll look to just close the rest of them. I'll put it on the watch list. And I talked about it yesterday. I'm probably just done with RILY for now. And at some point, I'll revisit. Maybe I'm not going to revisit it because I don't think it's the best company. It's not, like I said yesterday, it's like GameStop was a great story. You can make a bull case, not a bull case for GameStop to go to $500, but a bull case for it to go seriously to the upside. RILY has a lot of debt, has some issues. Maybe they're over leveraged. So there's issues there. But the problem with that is there's a 75% short interest, and the people who are short have been saying it's a fraud and it's a zero, and it's not a fraud and a zero. So people can be caught with their pants down, especially once you get to some areas that they probably get a little nervous. Your portfolio that was short, all of a sudden it's underwater, and then you're going to start getting calls. You're going to have to cover some. You meet your reserve requirement, whatever it is, and then you start getting margin calls, and then you're in trouble. So we'll have to see how that plays out today. But I'll lock the rest in. Obviously, they expire today. I'm hoping it goes to 38. Maybe if it dips back under 35, I'll just close the rest. And then I talked about collateral damage. I think Trupanion is going to have some collateral damage. I have to think some of these other names they're in. They had the same tactics they're using on RILY, calling it a fraud. They call Trupanion a fraud. They call the CEO, the founder, uh, he's a con man. You have to go. I'd have to go back and find all the tweets when I used to be long Trupanion, all the personal attacks about the company, and they're all unfounded attacks. These are like good people. They act like they're con artists and fraudsters, but that's the type of behavior you do if you're short and you want to induce selling and fear and so on and so forth. And that's what they did with RILY. That's what they're trying to do with Trupanion. So anyway, that's why I got the calls. Trupanion reports earnings next week, Thursday before the open. I'm hoping to get some or all my strikes out to cover costs. I may look for higher strikes, close the closer strikes, and go from there. That's Trupanion. Another name I'll be watching today. So similar. Um, do I have URI here? I don't have URI here, but I added some URI calls while I was watching Broadcom rally off the lows. URI went all the way down to 6:43 in the morning at 10 o'clock, and then just started to bounce. And some of it, I think people misunderstood the earnings. Went all the way up into the 690s. Locked. I added some calls, locked those in to cover costs for a little bit over 100%, and I held the rest in today because I think it's going to head higher. Stifle adjusted their price target to 750 from 710 this morning. I think it trades into 700, so I'll look to close the rest of my calls today, hopefully for some nice bags. And then last but not least is Pool. And Pool, similar to URI, sold off at the open, then reverse course, went up to 780, and then it closed down here at 380, and then it closed down at 358. I think it heads back higher. Thing about Pool, only has monthly strikes, so I'll probably look for maybe some 400, 410 strikes to make calls. The issue, only monthly strikes, liquidity is tough, the spreads are wide, so hopefully that tightens up. I think that's it for now. This will be recorded, so I'll have it on the chat room. So anytime I do any of these rants are recorded. Let's have a great day, folks. Rock and roll.